Career win 106. Lewis Hamilton arrived at Ferrari under pressure, surrounded by doubters asking whether the magic was still there. In Barcelona, he gave them an answer. His first win in red and his first victory since 2024. Now, the question has changed. It's not, can Hamilton still win? It is this the revival? Could this be the start of a genuine title bid? Mick, the Mercedes dominance has finally been broken in 2026. It's come from your guy. You must be extremely happy about it. Clearly you are. You're wearing the red Ferrari t-shirt. But how good did that Ferrari look? It looks like these upgrades that they bought over the weekend truly have made an impact. And perhaps we are starting to see a genuine title bid from Ferrari's side of the garage.
I tell you what, I was truly surprised by their pace. We'll get into it in a little bit, but if anyone had to do it, had to be the man Lewis. Like, plenty of water still to go under the bridge before we can say, oh, it's a true title defense. But rumours, they're bringing their first engine upgrade to Austria. Plus, I think engine penalties on Mercedes' side are going to play a big factor this year. Cautiously optimistic, but what we saw on the weekend with Kimi's retirement, this championship is not clear-cut and is certainly not over by a long, long way.
As a big Lewis Hamilton fan, do you have anything to say to the doubters out there?
All those people that were out there trying to retire Lewis Hamilton, he was washed up, he should retire, he's got no hope. Ralph Schumacher, on your bike, son, on your bike. Give the man a car and he will get the job done. As a sporting fan, as a fan of athletes, like, just the story of resilience, I think, for me is like I got a little bit emotional because of how low he got last year, and then to see him bounce back. And when you truly think about it, how hard he's had to work behind the scenes to get these results. He clearly believed. People were like, oh, moving to Ferrari was a mistake. Well, apparently so was Mercedes, but look what happened.
Yeah, mate. Well, the redemption arc, I think there's still a lot more to be written this year and we might be in for something special. But the weekend itself, we knew tyre deg was going to be a massive issue here. And boy, did those Pirelli tyres put in the work. Not to mention the pit crews. They definitely earned their wages over the weekend. The race itself, well, we know it was won by the old fella, Lewis Hamilton, but George Russell, a very important P2. And Lando Norris bringing up the last podium slot in P3. But we'll get stuck into the team of the moment, and that is clearly Ferrari. Mate, that is a statement weekend. Yes, there is a little bit of element of luck with the VSC, but that is racing. You've got to make the most of it. Ferrari's strategy was on point. But to me, mate, it looked like the pace in that car, even if that VSC didn't come out, pit stops went as planned, I think we would have had a grandstand finish, but, mate, I think Hamilton would have got the job done.
That upgrade package has clearly brought them. That's actually quite a big step forward, and that's probably more than what I was expecting. Strategy on point, like they killed it this weekend. Everything went their way. Like you said, without the VSC and maybe Kimi's retirement, it would have been super tight between him and Kimi, I reckon, at the end. But what was impressive was the way he brought it home and the pace he showed in the clean air on those hard tyres at the end, man. And let's not forget, Charles was super quick too. So the pace is genuine. The pace is genuine.
Now, but before we get on to Charles, when you saw at the start of the race, the tyre warmers come off and you saw Lewis on those soft compounded tyres, I think he was one of maybe 2 or 3 drivers in the top 10 that went with that aggressive strategy. What were your thoughts on that? Did you think that was going to be the right strategy moving forward?
Well, I thought all weekend that a 3-stop was going to be on the cards, and it probably looked like the faster strategy, given what we'd seen over all the practice sessions. And just like you said, man, those Pirelli tyres, man, copped an absolute flogging. I saw the soft tyres on Lewis. All right, he's committed to a 3-stop. I didn't mind that because I thought, well, if he's going to go 3-stop and he can get off the line, he's going to drag the Mercedes into a 3-stop, which they didn't do. And I think that's where Mercedes missed a trick this weekend. I actually like the fact that they went maybe a little bit more aggressive and starting him off on the soft tyre to try and get that advantage at the start. But full credit to Mercedes, man. They seem to have got on top of those starts and it didn't make a lick of difference this time around. I might have been a little bit concerned on how early we pitted him, but as it turned out, he put himself in the position to capitalise on that VSC.
But Charles, let's talk about Charles. He qualified in P10 mainly because of the big accident that he had, and it was quite the big accident. Unfortunately, over the last few weekends, Charles has had a bit of affinity to finding walls. Race pace wasn't too bad. He, got himself up to P6 before I think his retirement, which was, I think, due to some hydraulic issues. So the pace was good. But he looks a little shell-shocked. He looks a little bit...
he looks flat, man.
He looks flat. Very flat. Can he turn it around coming up into Austria?
Like last year, when you think about it, he did not have to worry about Lewis at all. He was not even in the picture. And I wonder if he's come into this season maybe thinking the same thing and has been... not surprised because, they see all the data, but maybe caught off guard, maybe just how good he is. And then he's seen Lewis switch to those carbon industry discs and pads. And we've just seen Lewis come alive and how much more confident he is, especially under braking. And that's where Charles at the moment is lacking. Charles is a pole or bin it kind of driver, especially on a Saturday. And I think on Lewis's side, Lewis is quite happy. If he doesn't feel like the car's good enough for pole, he's quite happy to accept he's not going to get pole and he'll just get the most out of it. Whereas Charles is like all in. I'm not settling for second. It's win it or bin it. And that ruined his weekend. Ultimately, that's what ruined his weekend. So, and I think it will hurt Lewis getting that first win for the team. I think that one probably might hurt a little bit more than Monaco. Yes, it hurt because it was his home race in Monaco, but this one...
It hurts when your teammate wins the race.
And he just missed out on pole by a fraction. Charles would have been looking at that going, well, if it was that, I could have been on pole.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure once they look at all the telemetry data, they knew just how quick that car was because even Lewis Hamilton reckons there was a bit of... I think he went deep into turn one on his
there was still more in it. Yeah.
So there was still a lot more in it. So clearly there is a lot of pace in that Ferrari. Look, Charles is class. He will bounce back.
Oh, of course.
This is probably one of his toughest... Well, being a Ferrari driver for 8 years is a tough assignment. But I think now with Lewis just riding the momentum and the wave, and then obviously the Tifosi will get behind that. The media will get behind it. We know how big Ferrari is in Italy. Charles has been the golden child at Ferrari for such a long time that it'll be interesting to see how he, adapts or reacts to these different dynamics, especially if Hamilton keeps getting the upper hand. But look, we know Leclerc's just as fast. Like, that's the thing.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt.
Just needs to eliminate these mistakes and I guess build on a bit of confidence. But Mercedes, the dominance has finally been broken. I don't think we pictured it would be broken in this manner. We thought it was going to come down to a mechanical failure on that part because Mercedes has been clearly the best car on the grid. This is the first weekend where we have actually seen them be outperformed purely on pace. But going back to the reliability issues, it's still an issue, still a problem. This time, Antonelli has felt the brunt of it and it has brought George back. But this is the question I want to pose to you. If you took away Kimi's problem, it was a bit of a statement drive because he was clearly the faster driver in that race, in the back end of the race, and I think he would have pulled away from Russell after getting that move done, and that would have been a big dagger to George's confidence.
You saw George's body language. He copped the dagger. Right? Like, there's no two ways about it. Like, you saw when Kimi passed him, I think it was a couple of laps before he actually had the failure, he marched down the road, man. He was gone. George understands he got the luck, which he's happy about because it finally went on the other side of the garage. But deep down, I think he knows he got pantsed this weekend, man. Like, Kimi really could have got the job done in the second stint and passed him. I think it was just Bono going, look, we don't want to lose too much time. Just be patient. Let's just keep our head down. Let's not do anything silly. So Kimi had that one crack and then decided just to back off. George was saying, you know, he was struggling to keep the tyres under wraps. And man, how strong Kimi was at the end of every stint. Without that failure, like you said, it would have been a grandstand finish between him and Lewis. Lewis had George covered, without a doubt. Engine penalties, man, for Mercedes are going to play a massive part in their season. And if they can't get on top of this reliability, yes, Charles had the hydraulic failure, but that was a hydraulic failure. That wasn't an engine or a battery issue.
Yeah.
So we've seen how bulletproof these Ferraris are. They can't be having 3 or 4 penalties throughout the season because the way they're going at the moment, there's potential there could be 3 to 4 penalties on each side of the garage.
If we look at the constructors' battle as well, Mercedes obviously out ahead on 262 points, but Ferrari, they're within touching distance, 190. Yes, it's still 72 points off, but you start to think now only 7 rounds into, which is most likely going to be a 22-race season.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing, hey? We're so early in the season still, man.
Yeah.
and they're having issues like they are. Like, I would not be surprised come the summer break, one of them is taking a penalty. It's so fragile, man. We've seen. You look at all the McLaren issues. Williams have had issues. I think the only team that I can remember that hasn't had anything of note is Alpine, maybe?
Yeah. Riding the luck, mate.
Yeah.
Just riding the luck.
Yeah, so, like, I think for all of those Mercedes-powered engine teams, man, there's concern there that there could be some engine penalties coming their way throughout the season. Just one thing we were talking about, if he didn't have the reliability issue, Lewis probably still would have won because Kimi got that 5-second penalty.
Yes, good point.
For track limits.
Yep.
That they gave him after the race when he was already retired. So
yeah. What's the word? Inconsequential. I can't even get that word out.
Inconsequential.
I still do. Is that the right word? Is that the right word?
I think so. I don't know. My understanding of the English language isn't so great. So we'll run with it.
We'll run with it.
Sounded right.
I think everyone knows what we mean anyway. Speaking of a Mercedes customer team, and that is McLaren, clearly the third best team. Lando Norris picking up the final podium position in P3 after qualifying P4. Oscar Piastri, though, you've got to say, bit off the pace, qualified in P7, finishes the race in P5. Bit of a disappointing one for Oscar Piastri. Good points for the Constructors' Championship, but still a bit tricky on their end. They just don't seem to quite have the pace of the top 2 right now. They definitely need to find some performance quickly, but what did you make of their weekend overall?
They were a fraction off this weekend. You mentioned Lando getting the podium. Look, he seemed, since Miami, he's definitely been the better of the 2. Oscar is struggling at the moment. I don't know whether he's just not happy with the car. That car still has some deficiencies, and it's particularly the medium and the slow speed corners. High speed stuff they're on par with the top teams. Yeah, I expected them to be a lot closer than what they were. They looked good in the practice sessions, and I thought, here we go, it could be a smoky. Lando was probably hurt by not getting the banker lap in Q3, so that affected his rhythm a little bit. But Oscar was scrappy throughout qualifying. He was off all weekend. That's the thing, right? They're there or thereabouts, but not quite there.
It was a good effort by Lando Norris. He missed FP1. They had Fornaroli in there in the young drivers. I was about to say the young drivers test, but for the rookie FP1, he ended up topping FP2. That is Lando Norris, of course. And so it wasn't too bad. Good points. But yeah, McLaren are a little bit like Red Bull, as we're about to get onto. It feels like they are just in third by themselves, and Red Bull are in fourth best team by themselves.
The good thing is with McLaren is they have a proven track record of being able to bring updates that work off the bat. It is a upgrade or an upgrade arms race, let's say. So I have full faith that before the end of the season, McLaren are going to be up there fighting somewhere.
Red Bull. A lot of rumours still circulating around Max Verstappen. There was a big meeting with him, I think, out at Austria with the big wigs of Red Bull GmbH, lawyers involved. Is he going to extend? That is the big question. Is he going to jump ship? But as far as the race weekend, he was in a race on his own, qualified P5, finished P4. He did lament that it was quite boring, that he was basically just lapping by himself. Isaac Hadjar, you'd have to say, was a pretty decent weekend, qualifying P6, but as far as deficit to Max Verstappen, extremely close, and that's all you can really ask from the young fella. Had an absolute shocker start off the line, but built and pushed his way through to a P6 finish.
But yeah, they're clearly the fourth best team at the moment. They're still easily 3 to 4 tenths off the top guys, the top teams, let's say Ferrari and Mercedes, probably a little bit closer to McLaren. This circuit, we said, would highlight teams' deficiencies, and you could see they're still lacking a bit of aero load, especially in the high-speed corners, and they still struggle in those hot temperatures with high tyre deg, and that has been something that's been inherent through the last 3-4 seasons for Red Bull. So they've got plenty of work to do to catch up. Again, another team like McLaren that could easily come to Austria and turn it around and be fighting at the front quite easily. Max, like you said, lonely side. Really good weekend from Isaac. I was really impressed. Super close in qualifying. What it did show me, him getting back up to 6th, was just the gap from Red Bull to the rest of the midfield is massive. Is massive. Like we saw, I think it was after 7 laps, man, they were like 16 seconds up the road. There's not much you can say, man. They were the 4th best, and that's where they put their car.
It's pretty much where they've been all season. Speaking of the best of the rest, and that is Alpine. They are P5 in the Constructors' Championship. It was another double points finish. I think they're 3rd of the season. Bit of a mixed bag. Saturday, qualifying, Gasly P14, Colapinto getting one up again on Gasly with P13, but they managed to both be in the points. Gasly finishing P7. Franco crossing the line in P8, but unfortunately had to take a 10-second penalty due to a yellow flag penalty, which dropped him back to P10. But if you're looking at that battle for best of the rest, Alpine now sitting on 57 points in the Constructors' Championship, and their nearest rival behind them, Racing Bulls, 41. What about Gasly, though? Obviously, the big news regarding the Monaco podium has been reinstated. He is driving with a lot of confidence, although there was a bit of a rough patch there with some of the upgrades, and we did see the upper hand of Franco Colapinto. But it looks like it's normal resumption.
I don't know. I don't agree with Gasly looking confident at the moment. I still think he's still not quite there. Got done by Franco in qualifying. But what I will say is what I did like is how they went from Friday in qualifying. I thought, oh no, here we go. They're going to be a mile off, because I still think their package is at the moment best of the rest, closely followed by Racing Bulls at the moment. But they turned it around and they showed they've got a really strong race car.
Well, I think it's also really important because reliability issues are still a massive factor. So if you do, maybe your one-off lap pace isn't great, but if you can get good race trim, good race performance, you're in a shot of like picking up scraps.
Well, that's the thing. Like we said earlier, man, like I don't remember Alpine having a major mechanical failure. Yes, Gasly ended up on his lid in Miami.
But he's been in the points every race.
Yeah, like
bar that.
Yeah, and I don't really remember Alpine. They're probably the only Mercedes engine that hasn't had a proper issue yet. So for them to turn around and be able to get a result like that, I think they're doing a really freaking good job. Like you compare it to Williams. Oh, we're not focused on 2025. It's all about 2026. And they come out in 2026 swinging compared to Williams, right?
Exactly.
What Williams have delivered. Nice to see Franco, I think, being back in a traditional circuit certainly helped him. He probably wasn't quite as comfortable, scraping the wall around Monaco. They're doing a super job, man.
Yeah, it is a super job. And again, when we look at them from where they were last year to where they are now, it's a massive jump.
Massive effort.
Racing Bulls, double points finish, of course, which is always good when you are a midfield team. That's what it's all about. It was a great Saturday out for Liam Lawson. Another Q3 appearance, qualifying P8, finishing the race in P8. Lindblad qualified P11. Probably a little bit unlucky, had a deployment issue in his qualifying session. He was looking quick all weekend. He finished the race in P9. They'll be very happy with that, but I think they will walk away, especially on Liam's side. He showed really good qualifying pace. The race pace was very difficult, but let's also just a quick shout out to his Super Mario Kart skills of taking Mr. Hulkenberg out of the race.
Yeah. For me, man, that's a result that's indicative of the pace they showed this weekend. Look, Permain's come out and said, they've ironed out some of their deficiencies, especially in the high speed, and it's worked, man. Like they've looked super solid over the last few rounds. They're not far off Alpine at the moment, and that's really positive. Unlucky on Lawson's side, he had a slow stop, that first stop. So maybe
6.7 second stop.
Yeah, potentially he could have finished ahead of Gasly. Like
also,
you said,
a bit unlucky with the VSC as well. He had pitted, I think, 1 or 2 laps before the first VSC, I think, came out.
Yeah.
Or the second one, I can't remember, but it did hinder him a little bit.
Yeah, so that potentially cost him. He could have finished, what did he finish? He could have finished 7th ahead of Gasly. Because I still think they were probably stronger over the whole weekend than Alpine.
Race pace-wise, and only reason I say this is because I was following Liam Lawson throughout the whole race.
But he ran long too on his last stint, didn't he? So he was always going to run out of tyres.
He did a bit, but in reality, it was, the race pace just wasn't quite there. I think Lindblad was probably a little quicker on race pace. I don't think he would have had enough in the tank to beat Gasly, especially in that last stint. Gasly was clearly the fastest out of... So Gasly, he was definitely quicker than Colapinto and Lawson, who were the guys at the time.
Yeah, he had better tyres than Lawson too. So it definitely would have been hard. But like I said, I think that result is indicative of their pace this weekend.
Yeah, I don't think they'll walk away too disappointed with that one. Anytime these midfield teams get a double points finish, it's something to celebrate. And speaking of a team that won't be celebrating, and it's another one that you feel sort of got away from them, is Audi. They did show really good one-lap pace. Hulkenberg into Q3, qualified P9. Unfortunately, had to retire the car, not due to mechanical failures or anything on his part, pure bad luck. Some debris.
Bad luck.
Debris gets kicked up from Lawson around one of the corners, and it basically turned on the engine kill switch on the side.
There's if you look on the Formula One cars, there's like a little hoop that sticks out on the engine cover, and it's like an emergency, like they can pull it, and it's like an emergency fire extinguisher, and it basically kills the car, all the electrics in the car.
The chances of that, huh?
Oh, man.
And it's such a shame for Hulkenberg as well, because he was looking very quick. He was hassling Lawson at that point of the race. He was, in fact, he came over the radio at one point complaining about Lawson moving under braking.
He was strong all weekend, man.
He was strong all weekend. And unfortunately, he still sits, when you look at the championship, he's still on 0 points. And when you look at the constructors' points, Audi only 2 points so far after 7 rounds. When you've seen the pace at some circuits, they've always been hovering around close to the top 10, but it's just reliability or bad luck has just completely let them down.
In terms of pace, 100%, man. I think Audi are doing a really good job. They're really strong. Again, like you said, it's either reliability or bad luck. So it's just not going their way at the moment. They just can't walk away with points.
Speaking of not going away their way at the moment, and you could probably say Gabriel Bortoleto has been...
He's not happy.
He's having one of those really weird seasons where there hasn't been anything sort of exceptional, but there hasn't been anything extremely bad either. He's sort of in that middle ground. Qualified P12, finished just outside the points in P11. But I think he had a pretty poor start. He made contact with Ocon, which definitely hindered his race a little bit. But again, walking away with no points.
Yeah, Hulk man is clearly the man of the moment in that team.
Well, Williams, Carlos, home race, qualified P16. He made it pretty clear that was basically all he could extract out of the car. Finished P12. Albon on the other side, unfortunately knocked out in Q1. He's definitely suffering from a bit of confidence, isn't he? He's got some issues over there. He was technically not classified in the race, although he was still running. They turned it into a bit of a test session. He had one of those weird problems that you don't see often. The T-cam camera on top of the car became loose. They had to fix that. So car was running, except that he didn't finish within the 90% laps completed, therefore technically not classified. Where do Williams go from here? It's starting to look, to be honest, if it wasn't for Aston Martin and how bad Aston Martin are, Williams would have been, you would say, the big embarrassment on the grid.
And the fact that they're not fighting for points every weekend based on pure pace, like if it was the same as they were last year, especially on Albon's side, I think there'd be a fair bit more pressure, especially on his side of the garage. Realistically, you're right, without Aston Martin, I mean, they've been pretty disappointing.
Speaking of disappointing as well, and that is Haas. It was a very inconsistent weekend out. Esteban Ocon qualified P17, Behrman in P15. Ocon finishing outside the points in P13, and Behrman, well, he picked up a reliability issue, a DNF, one of those weekends that they just want to move away from.
For whatever reason, the correlation between simulator and track with those upgrades, they have not been happy at all. Ollie, again, he is the man in that team. He's clearly faster than...
Well, as we get closer to the summer break, do you get the feeling that the drums will start to amp up and beat for Ocon if he can't get a couple of good performances? What have we got? 3 more races before?
Yep. So
summer break,
Austria, Silverstone, Hungary. 4.
4. So there's 4.
Got Spa, then Hungary.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 4 bites at the cherry for Esteban to turn his season around because, I believe if he cannot get a handle of this car in relation to what Behrman can, the drums will start beating quite loud.
I reckon behind the scenes they probably already are. We've heard the rumblings, and then it was come out and vigorously denied, which is fair enough. But he's fighting for his career, man. And at the moment, he hasn't got a life jacket. He's sinking, man. And
problem is he's sinking, and there's nowhere else to go.
That's the problem.
That's
right?
the big problem.
That's the big problem.
Cadillac,
plenty of time.
Well, plenty of time. Plenty of leeway for the new American team. Sergio qualified P19, finished P14. He'll be kicking himself because there was definitely a point out last time in Monaco.
Yeah.
Valtteri Bottas qualified P20, a DNF. Clearly, new team. They still have a lot of reliability issues. I guess one of the big issues that they have had recently is brakes. We did see the brakes basically give up on Bottas, I think, in FP3, which actually nearly ended Cadillac's qualifying campaign because they had to prove that they knew what the issue was because the FIA termed it as being very dangerous. Glad to see that they got over that. We say it nearly every week. What is it, Mick? It is an extended
test session.
Moving on to Aston Martin. And that's not disrespecting Cadillac, by the way. It's not disrespecting Cadillac
Well,
whatsoever.
they're doing better than Aston Martin.
They are. Aston Martin, big news for them was probably more on Stroll's side. I think it was 42 race weekends where Fernando out-qualifies his teammate. And what was Lance Stroll's response to that?
What's that? The face he pulls? Don't give a shit, basically. And that's fair enough too, because it means nothing when you're not fighting for anything except fighting to keep the car out of the garage.
Unfortunately, a double DNF. Stroll retires on lap 5 with a gearbox issue.
Yeah.
And, well, Fernando, I think he was lucky to get out. He started in pit lane. There were some power unit changes, but I think it was a battery issue in the end that curtailed, which is potentially his final race in Barcelona. But let's not jump ahead to too many conclusions, because remember, the next time we see Barcelona on the grid is 2028. We still have another Spanish Grand Prix with Madrid coming up, and Madrid will be the one for next year as well.
Well, he may be in Alpine by then.
Well, this is the thing. The rumors. Apparently Gucci wants Fernando Alonso, which I just cannot understand the correlation between the two.
Yeah, I think...
I could understand Gucci wanting someone like maybe Lewis Hamilton because, he rocks up with all the fashion and all that hoopla. But it is quite a strange one with Fernando. But we do know the history between Briatore and Fernando Alonso. So
yeah, and I think Briatore might be playing on that too, and he's probably looking. I mean, that Briatore's got to be Fernando. Your car no good. Come. Mercedes engine, very good. We're good. If that is true, and Briatore is trying to lure him back to Alpine for one last ride, I mean, it's got to look pretty tasty, really, you're looking at Alpine. But then, if he leaves Aston, that's a pretty big kick in the guts for Aston too, because what does that say about them?
I would say Fernando was probably looking forward to Spa. We all know that Aston Martin at this point is when they're talking about essentially a brand new car. He probably will want to look to see where that is heading, if that's heading into the right direction, where he ends up going, whether he walks away from the sport, sticks with Aston Martin, or whether some of these rumors at Alpine are true. Now, if it is true, clearly Gasly is going to be the guy you're going to keep. French team, French driver, experience, multi-year deal. Colapinto, I feel sorry for Colapinto. There's always just something going on with Alpine and whether his seat is safe or not. He's doing a good job. It feels like he's finally starting to click.
Yeah.
Let's just hope that if these rumors are true, it doesn't heap pressure on Colapinto and he's just able to keep doing what he's doing, because it's still a very odd move to bring Fernando back. Let's see. I think we're going to get quite the silly season
it's going to be a ripper.
Yeah, over the summer break. Now, on to predictions. Oh, actually, before I get onto predictions, little facts, and I'm sure the Brits have you haven't mentioned it. There was an all-British podium for the first time since, I believe,
in the 60s, right?
68, I think it was.
Something, yeah.
When I think at that time, off the top of my head, Jackie Stewart, I was about to say Damon Hill, his father, Graham Hill, and maybe Surtees? We're going back a long way.
I don't know. You're telling the story here, man. I have no idea. All I know, it was sometime in the 60s that 3 British drivers were on the podium together. So.
Yeah. So congratulations to you, Brits. You have produced some quality drivers. I will give you that.
Because before that, because I was going to have a dig. Have a dig.
Because
that's about the only thing you're bringing home.
Whoa!
Oh,
Damn!
he went there. No,
I won't lie, that was a good one. That was a good unscripted moment, straight off the cuff, mate. I'll give you that. I will give you that. But what I won't give you is these predictions, because the predictions have been pretty sour lately.
Yeah, been pretty.
You had, I believe, Kimi for pole, Kimi for the win.
Kimi for the win, Norris for second, and I think I just went Verstappen for third because I really did think Mercedes were going to be off the boil, and I am happy that I was wrong.
Yes. Well, I got a couple right. My podium, well, I went with Kimi as well for pole. My podium was, Kimi to win, George Russell second, and Lando Norris third. So I did end up with a couple of points, which moves me to, I believe it's 5-4. In the championship, but when you look at those numbers over 7 rounds, it is pretty piss poor. Let's not
nothing to get excited about.
Let's not beat around the bush. And the thing I did forget to mention at the start was to shield the channel. We are still on our big push towards 1,000 subs by season's end. We are struggling. We're very much in Williams territory at the moment. We did cross over 550, which seemed to be a sticking point. We did have a little internal celebration about it.
Yeah.
So if you have made it this far, make a couple of old washed up F1 fans happy, hit the sub button, and of course, like the video. And we can just end this right here. I'm going to give you straight into the final thoughts. I'm not going to steal any of your thunder this week.
Too easy. Well, took 7 rounds for the domination of Mercedes to come to an end. And what we saw was something very, very special, a story of resilience, a story of a man who never gave up and put it to all his doubters. But this championship is not finished by a long, long way. And if you think it is, you've got rocks in your head. Now we look forward to Austria, which I believe is going to be an absolute stonker again. What we have seen throughout Formula One this season, I've been thoroughly, thoroughly impressed. On the edge of my seat nearly every weekend, which I've not done in a very long time. And topped off with Sir Lewis Hamilton.
I was just going to jump in there, and I was like, these are clearly words from a euphoric Lewis Hamilton supporter. But hey, take it, mate, because it was a ripper from Lewis. So you got to enjoy these wins.
Yeah, exactly. Especially after the ride we've had since 2024. So until then, we will catch you in the next one.
Catch up. Bringing home the sauce.
I'm bringing home the sauce.
On the sauce.